Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session where I really just want to cover in a little bit more detail how I particularly use volume to try and spot, if you like, in advance when a move is likely to happen in a stock. I've got two stocks that I'd like to cover for you. But before we start, can I just draw your attention to the disclaimer that I know you can see on your screen? As you know, trading and investing can be a very risky business, so please don't ever think of using money that you cannot afford to lose. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on the sort of general market mood. We know yesterday was a very bad day. I think the Dow fell over 1,000 points. I've had a quick look at the charts, and it looks like there's it's kind of stabilized today. Really have to go and look at the what the volume, how it ends today, whether in fact it's we've had some stopping volume coming in at least to right the ship, as it were. But why everything sort of has been, we've had this selling off going on for some time. We've seen big falls in the indices, and then we've had sort of quite weak rallies, and then it's kind of building up as a kind of momentum. But what really kind of spooked thing, or has spooked things over the last couple of days, is when you get a company such as Walmart, as we see here. This is the daily chart for the company. It released its earnings, and there were some very big concerns about growth moving forward, and it's primarily down to inflation, and in particular food inflation. Those of you who come along to join us at these sessions with myself and David will know that we've been talking about inflation since last year, when we said, look, this is what's coming down the line, and it's taken, if you like, the catalyst of the conflict in Ukraine to really bring it to people's attention. But you and I, we go shopping every day. We have to buy food, and things have been gradually going up, and now suddenly they're going up. They seem to be going up in leaps and bounds. So when you get a stock such as Walmart, which is considered a consumer defensive, so I would say it's used by investors as a kind of hedge when things are looking particularly fragile. When I said this blue chip company drops, I don't know how many, it's $15, and then we've had two quite big gap downs, quite a lot of volume underneath those candles, and today we've had a little bit of stability coming in, with clearly some buying support coming in. Things are pretty serious. However, there are, despite everything you read, there are actually stocks out there which are, despite everything, are holding up and are actually going in the opposite direction. And the way you can discover what is likely to be moving is simply to look, what is the volume, what is the flow of volume coming in to individual stocks. Now, I have been using Finviz now for some time. I actually now subscribe to the platform. I was just getting so fed up with all the adverts that kept popping up every second, which is the free version. If you're starting, put up with the adverts, because it's a fantastic platform. And also, if you pay, you do get quite a lot of additional functionality. In terms of cost, I think it's less than $300 a year, and really for the information that you get, I think is very good value, and it's good for whether you're a trader or an investor. I haven't really managed to finish sort of my working my way around the platform, and I think what I'll do is I'll do some sessions on Finviz, just to give you an idea of how you can use it to its optimal to the optimal effect. Okay. I've actually done my search. I've been spending the last a couple of weeks, looking at the volume that's coming in, particularly volume that is in it that exceeds the average for a particular stock or a particular sector. And what I've actually I started last week, although I haven't done a video on it, is I actually have now something called a VPA stock of the week. And what it is, it's a stock that really has some interesting VPA lessons, signals that we can pay attention to, not because it is not a recommendation for a buy or a sell, because it's really it's a way of trying to convey to both traders and investors that with VPA, these setups, these scenarios, these candle patterns, the volume profile, the relationship between the price action and the volume, they just keep repeating. And once you begin to recognize the setups, the scenarios, you become familiar with them. You then maybe decide, well, actually that's the kind of structure of chart that I like to trade or invest in, and you use that as the basis of your of learning about the VPA methodology. So after having done the look through the results that came up from FinViz, one of the stocks, I have to say I was quite spoiled for choice actually. One of them was Plug. Now Plug is Plug Power Incorporated is actually a stock that I kind of looked at last year, in the middle of last year, but I didn't really sort of follow through with it. But anyway, up it popped, and it really came up on the search because of the sheer amount of volume that came in following this waterfall that we can see here on the chart. Now, what I've actually done is I have actually annotated the chart. This is the monthly chart. There's all sorts of this particular stock. There's commentary on the daily, but there's also commentary on the monthly, because it's not only an interesting chart from a VPA, a straightforward technical analysis VPA perspective, but it has a fascinating backstory and a narrative, because this company was actually launched back in 1999. So there's all sorts of elements to it, which we sometimes need to be aware of, because the technical picture is interesting, and it tells us what is happening now and potentially what is going to happen in the short term. But sometimes it pays to go back, not just on the daily, not just on the monthly, but actually go back years to get a really good picture of what's the story behind this particular company. And as I said, I will just cover that briefly as well. It is on the annotated charts. They will be going up on my blog, which is annacooling.com. And in fact, last week's, as I mentioned to you, last week's VPA stock of the week, if you like, was this company was Apache Corporation, which is APA, and that's in the energy sector. The energy sector has been doing very, very well, because oil is up, and energy is also used as a hedge against inflation. And the way I'm doing the post is I take a stock, I analyze the various time frames, I annotate the charts as much as possible, give you a little bit of a background. This was all about inflation, what to look for on the different time frames, and I will then follow it up with a video. I didn't have time last week, but this week it is going to be on Plug. And then what it allows me to do is kind of I can do a follow-up, because if you come along in 2 or 3 weeks time and maybe you missed this, at least I can point you and say, look, go back and read what I first wrote, whenever it was, catch up on the basics, and then you're up to date with the story, as it were. So Plug. where do we go? Let me see. Here we are. Here we are. This is the daily chart that I have that has all our quantum indicators. And really what caught my eye was the volume that was being driven on. You have to look at these volume bars and see, we're talking about 40 million, which is, you know, a substantial amount of volume going into a stock, which is, you know, around $13, as it were. But really what caught my eye first, as looking at this chart, there's so many things I could say, but was really this really nice waterfall that developed. It was a break from the volume point of control. The volume point of control is that point on the chart, which we call the fulcrum of the chart. It's where there's a degree of price agreement. Now we can see here it's congested, it's within a range, it can be quite a wide range. You'll see it's, you know, there's been attempts to break higher. There was a bit of a move higher, but then, you know, it stalled on this trend line. And this is another little point, you know, just to highlight here. You had this up candle. It had, you know, decent amount of volume underneath that we see here. And if you've already missed a move like this, you really, and you see this and this, you can get very excited and think, oh, you know, it's great to, it's a great time to get in. And I would say, wait, just be patient and see what happens the next day, as it were. And the next day, actually, because we hit this trend line, it was a down day, reasonable amount of volume underneath it. Now, this is where a little bit of blending of candles comes in. If you overlay that candle over that candle, what you actually get is not quite a shooting star, but you get a candle where there is weakness. And with NinjaTrader, the nice thing about it is, and if you have this on this platform, it's a great way to learn to, you know, how two candles can combine. If we move that to 2 days here and just hit OK, 2 days, what we have is, and I've lost it, so do forgive me, let me just put that back to 1 day. It hasn't quite, for some reason, my settings don't appear to work, so I do apologize, but believe me, I did it earlier and it's when you overlay that one on that one, you get a wick to the top of that candle, you have a lot of volume underneath it, and you get the price sort of reversing back to, first of all, to this strong support region here, tries to break away again. Again, we have a lot of volume under that up candle, but the range of the candle, there's a discrepancy. It's anomalous. Why? Because you've got, as I said, you've got more than 40 million, but you've got a narrow spread candle. If that's if that was all true buying under there, that would be much wider. It's not, so it's an anomaly, and we have to, you know, be aware that, you know, it's a false signal. That's what I'm trying to say. And in fact, it does reverse and goes back to the volume point of control. It goes back into congestion, and then we finally do get this break lower, breaks from the volume point of control, breaks through this this support line here, which is this hatched line. The hatched line is with this particular indicator, when the more times it's touched, it becomes thicker. So you can see this one is thicker than this one because it's been tested more times, and therefore it's stronger. But it does actually break through. The volume rises, which we want to see, but it takes the price action to the trend line, but also to the outer limits of the volume point of control. This is now what we call volume support. Again, we have a nice deep candle. You see, if you've missed that, wait. You really do have to be patient, because when stopping volume comes in on this waterfall, what you actually want to see is, you need to see a candle with a wick underneath it. You need to see, we always describe it as in a waterfall, it's a bit like, you know, a tanker. It's got momentum. So to actually stop that and reverse it, you know, first of all, it's got to stop, and you need to see stopping volume, and you don't see stopping volume on a solid candle. You do need to see, you know, the drive higher, as it were. So, you know, when you're in a when you see a waterfall, it's nice, it's great to see rising volume with these solid candles, but for a reversal, you really, you have to be a little bit patient. Its temptation is to jump in. And also, where has it stopped? Has it stopped at a trend line, a significant a price-based support or resistance line? And here we have this volume support. So what happens the next day is we do get a very, very large volume spike that we see here. Not a huge, I do admit, not a huge wick, but it is generally an up candle, and you know, it's enough to begin this a reversal higher. And you also have to remember, this price action is against the kind of general market sentiment, which is deeply pessimistic. You know, the indices are selling off, but here we have this, you know, this little company which, yeah, it's sold off like the, you know, like the rest of the market, but it's now marching, you know, marching higher, and it's attempting to move higher. And yesterday's price action was particularly because it was a dreadful day for the indices, but yeah, there was a bit of selling in there, but nothing, you know, the price didn't move hugely, as it were. So in my initial filtering, what caught my eye was, first of all, this volume that had come in a few days ago. And then when I saw it in the context of this waterfall, I thought, that looks interesting. I'm just going to, you know, keep an eye on it and you know, and watch it and see what happens. There is a bit of a follow through, as we see here, a little bit of a pullback, but the selling seems to have, you know, died down. Then we have this candle here, which has pushed it even further. And it's this candle which is very, very interesting with this volume, because this is where there is news about this particular company, Plug. And we have to go back to where we are here, and to, where is it, Yahoo. And this was 2 days ago underneath, and we see here it's landed this massive order. And Plug is it's been in the hydrogen space, as I said, since 1999, and obviously with alternative energy now very a higher priority than it has ever been. You know, where are we going to go? Are we going to use solar, wind, hydrogen? Who knows? It's really very much at, you know, at the forefront of what the future is likely to be. And you know, you read headlines as why is Plug Power stock jumping today? Well, actually, it's not today. This was 2 days ago. This is 1-2. This is where it all happened. It happened in advance. And this is the point I'm trying to make, is with volume, is it gives you the heads up. It gives you, you know, you see something, either there's a lot of volume or there's not enough volume. The reason for it, you know, may not be apparent for days or even weeks, but it's a fantastic heads up, and it's just another way of using volume. And as I said, the news kind of validated this initial move that we saw, you know, after this waterfall, which, you know, it kind of came to almost an abrupt halt, as it were. The other thing to bear in mind, of course, is this, you know, this news that was released about this new contract. Well, you know, this must have been known for a long time. These things don't happen in a few days. This contract may have been under negotiation for weeks, even months, if not years. So, you know, when you read headlines in the media saying, oh, this has surged because this has happened. You really do have to kind of sit back and think, yeah, that's awfully interesting, but you're seriously telling me that suddenly it's all this wasn't known, you know, well in advance, and it's just maybe this, I'm not saying, you know, I don't want to be accused of being libelous or defamation. Are you seriously telling me this move lower wasn't an excuse to, you know, drive the price lower and then perhaps, reduce the cost of the stock and have an opportunity to buy it at a lower price? So that was but the initial trigger for me, first of all, was this very interesting waterfall, then this sort of reversal. And with VPA, we do look at the relationship between price action and volume, but support and resistance is hugely, hugely important. Now, we've seen the volume coming in, and the next question is, well, where is it actually going? And here we have to look at the other, other time frames to give us a view of, what's ahead. Is there going to be, what obstacles are ahead in terms of support and resistance? And this is the weekly chart, and we can see here, this is what I mean about these hatched lines. It's quite a thick line. It's not, it's almost there, which is $17. If it manages to get over that, then it's got another bit of a hurdle at about $21, and that's an even thicker line, which is in red. And then I think the logical, the next logical point is the $25 the price point, which is where we have the volume point of control. And we can see here we've already had quite a lot of congestion around this this price. But to get, so as I said, that's sort of looking ahead on the daily chart. What have we got? Well, we've got the sort of volume resistance here. We've got the Camarilla. We've got 18. We've got, and then, this is the 21, which is the same level that we see on the weekly chart. And the other thing to always remember is prices fall a lot quicker than they go up. They just, what do they say? You climb up the stairs and down and go down in an elevator. You can see how quickly that took 1, 2, 3. That took 4 sessions to move from $21 down to $13, and we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've had 6 sessions, and we've not even halfway. We haven't even rallied, half of that waterfall, and it explains why. Traders like my husband David they do have a bias to the short side simply because of speed. Things move very, very fast. Market makers, they frighten people, they shake them out, they take it down quickly, but then they want to stabilize it because no one likes the thought of losing money on to the downside. There are short sellers, but vast majority of certainly all investors that I know in the stock market, they don't buy stock because it's going to go down. They want a stock because it's going to go up. But the move higher is it can be a little bit more tortuous, as it were. Right. So that is what I wanted to highlight with regards to VPA. Now, to go back to a little bit of a background to plug, and for this I need to have a look at the monthly chart. And again, I have actually annotated this chart, and here we have the most, I think, another one of what we call a pump and dump. And the other point about that support level where the price reversed is very, very close to the area that we have here where the price really, really took off. And this is, as I said, to me, this is classic pump and dump. The image for the monthly chart explains it in more detail, and see if I can, here we are. The monthly chart for plug. First of all, why is it a pump and dump? Well, we have a long, long period of congestion, and then we suddenly have great big influx of volume, which is very nice to see. It seems, you know, nice and steady, and then suddenly you have these massive candles here. Volatility, because we have the volatility trigger, we know that price move is outside of the outside of the true range, but you know, the volume underneath it, given the range of that candle, is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It's a lot of volume, but it's still not enough to justify that move. Then what happens is you have a wick to the bottom of the to the top of the candle, and you have a reversal to the spread of the candle, and then down it goes. This time, I think the high was about $76, but it's not the first time that we've had this type of price action with plug, because if we move back here, we have a sort of smaller version. We have a ton of volume, again, the congestion, when the stock price actually dropped to about 16 cents, I think was the lowest that it ever fell to. Again, you have volume coming in, you have this massive volume spike, you have this candle with a big wick to the top of the candle, bang, straight back, and then back into this long congestion. This goes back to 2014. I haven't got the maximum for this for plug, but just to give you a little bit of background, it actually IPO'd in 1999, and I think the high at the time, where is it? Yes, I had to double check this because I couldn't believe it. It actually hit a high over $1,500. It was during the dot-com, and it sank even lower. By May 2011, the price had fallen to $6. And it began a long period of consolidation. And as I said, it actually went down to 16 cents. So it's had a bit of an interesting history. So what I'm trying to say is, when you are perhaps tracking a stock where it's been in this consolidation and suddenly you see this ramping up and you see this volume, do check back to the IPO and see if it's got some kind of form. So what's the history behind it? Because, you know, if it's happened once, it's happened twice, it could happen again, and certainly this is what it's happened you know, on this third occasion. You can see the anomalies are so glaring, you know, from a VPA perspective, that, as I said, it's a fast and furious move. It traps as many as possible on the wrong side of the market, and it uses momentum and volatility. Are we going to see the same thing again? The context for the stock is so different now. As I said, it's in the right sort of industry, as it were, moving forward. That doesn't mean, you know, traders and investors aren't going to be tricked or trapped again, as it were. You simply have to read the price action with the volume and trade it accordingly. You know, if it looks like it's falling, fine. If you are a short seller, then sell. But if you're looking to you know, to go long, then just, you know, be aware. Look at the influx of volume. Is it a lot of volume? You know, research a little bit more about the company and see what happens. And as I said, moving higher always takes, you know, it's always a grind, particularly when, you know, this stock is going against the overall sentiment of the market. Yes, it's in an industry that is, you know, possibly of the future. It's a bit like you know, oil stocks at the moment. They're bucking the market, the general market trend, but then the sector is doing very, very well. So, you know, it's all about context. It's the context of the market, it's the context of the industry that stock is in, and obviously the context of a sector. But it's also an example that even while headlines are screaming, you know, that the sky has caved in, everything is collapsing, Walmart has collapsed, good heaven, you know, my goodness, things are serious if Walmart is, you know, gapping down over 2 days. Somewhere in the market, there are stocks. There are, you know, out of this crisis, there will be opportunities. You've just got to recognize where those opportunities might be. So what I will be doing, to go back to my site very quickly, is I will be doing a blog post with Plug where the annotated charts will be put up. There'll also be a recording of this video. So, because I know people sort of like to learn in different ways. Some people like to read lots of text and they like to look at, you know, they like to read the charts. Other people like to watch videos and listen to explanations. We all learn in different ways. As I said, I haven't done a video on Apache, but I think I will definitely follow through with it, because having looked at it, I think I've got it on my list of stocks down here. This is apps. No, that's another one that I was looking at. Is APA. No, what I'll do is I will wait, and I will actually do a follow-up on it based on what I said last week. I might wait another week or so. It just depends on what the chart actually says. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you've felt that you've learned something. Do leave a comment below this video. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe to the channel so that at least you will get a notification when a new video is launched. The indicators, very quickly, that are featured on the charts, they are the ones that David and I developed for ourselves and are available for these platforms, MetaTrader, Ninja, TradingView, and TradeStation, and they are at quantumtrading.com. We are actively working as hard and quickly as we can on our new stock trading and investing program. It's certainly turning into, I think, something quite extraordinary. When we started it, we had a sort of vague idea, we had an idea of where we wanted to go with it, but we're very, very pleased with the content that we have produced thus far. But what it's also what will also be included is we are developing even more specific volume indicators. We are, you know, volume traders and investors, and we like to use volume in all its iterations. And what we're doing is, as well as the indicators that are available at the moment, there are going to be some significant new ones which will come along with the program. But as always, you will be able to buy the indicators individually, separately. You know, you can buy them individually, you can buy them as a package. There's all sorts of deals and promos that you can find at quantumtrading.com. But if you want to ask me any questions about anything I've said vis-a-vis the indicators or VPA, then you're more than welcome to drop me a line at anna@annacooley.com. So thank you so much for coming along and for taking, as I said, taking the time to come along. Enjoy the rest of, well, there's not much time left, certainly for the North American session before Asia opens, but enjoy the rest of the trading week. And I hope you can join me next time.